What's up?
How's it going?
Another day in paradise. Well,
Hey, wait a minute. You're not in Jacksonville.
in my heart, home is where the heart is. We'll wait till a couple people poke their heads in.
Yeah, I don't know. 10:41. How many people are up right now? You think?
Everyone waiting for us. That's who.
I like the optimism.
Yeah, there hasn't been much of that around. I was about to say Alltel Stadium, but it's been many moons.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
It's so hard to say TIAA Bank. It was so easy to say Everbank.
or just the bank.
Yeah, we'll say that. I mean, it's like in context though. Like a lot of people like that I run into, aren't really Jags fans or even know that it's called the bank, which is so strange. It's like, bro, you live in an NFL town. Just go
Yeah,
support your team. Right now, the jumbo shrimp are in full swing.
nice.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to a couple of those games, whatever, just to kill the monotony.
Yeah, I like I've become more of a baseball fan over the past few years. Like very recently. Like I've always been a Braves fan, but not necessarily a baseball fan. Yeah, that's right. I've always been a Braves fan, but not necessarily a huge baseball fan. Like I'd watch the playoffs, but I don't know, last few years, I guess as I'm aging, I've really gotten into it. Like I went to a Braves game last year. It's my first MLB game. Tons of fun. Hoping to go to a couple more this year. So
yeah, I was born in South Georgia, so it was like my dad would take me up to Atlanta, when I was a kid or whatever, when I could remember it, just to see like I saw Chipper, Andrew Jones, John
nice.
Smoltz was my favorite player at the time, whatever. So they're playing the Cubs, and Sammy Sosa hit like a pregame home run. They do like warm ups and stuff.
I'll cork that. Yeah.
Yeah, and this kid caught it, and well, sort of. So it like fell into a group of people, and there was a kid in the mix. So whatever, my dad came out with the ball, like like he pulled the He-Man sword out of the stone or whatever. That reference was all over the place.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, anyway, so like I was sitting there next to this girl, and she's like, that was kind of mean or whatever. And I was like, she didn't know that was my dad. So I was like, I mean, yeah, but the kid probably didn't know the significance of that. Like he didn't know Sammy Sosa hit it. He was gonna go home, give it to the dog, and it was gonna get tore up and stuff like that. She was like, yeah, you're probably right, whatever. And my dad was like, hey, the game's about to start. Come up and sit up here. And I remember her looking so awkward, dude. It was one of the funniest moments I've ever had. But like, so yeah, we went to Turner Field a lot, and I actually, when they moved it from Turner to SunTrust, Hank Aaron grabbed the bag at home plate and carried it, like to the new stadium, and I like tears. I was crying. I don't know. I have no idea why that hit me so hard, so emotionally, whatever. I guess because it was like a staple in my childhood, and it's just gone now.
Yeah.
And then better, bigger, brander, newer kind of deal they got going on in Atlanta.
The Turner Field, it's some like local college uses it now for their baseball team.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's still being used, but it's just like
It's like Georgia State, probably the Panthers.
probably, yeah. And it's just like, man,
Eagles.
as a Braves fan, I don't appreciate that. We won World Series on that field.
Yeah. That's kind of like if the Red Sox moved like out of the green wall or whatever, just to get some like fancy build, like who cares? Like
Yeah.
like I'd rather sit on those like sun bleached green seats.
Yeah.
that you get a piece of when you stand up, whatever, because it's still all over your back.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, man. So that was fun. going to Braves games and stuff, whatever. What else we got going on?
Sorry,
Welcome back.
my fan was on and it was destroying my eyeballs.
I got.
Well, we have all of 0 viewers, so
Yeah, that's all.
I'll go ahead and we'll just go ahead and get it started.
All right.
Take a few seconds to pause for station identification. Just kidding. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Jacksonville Jaguars Fan Battle Network podcast. I am your host, Matthew Grieve, and joined by my co-host, Cody. What's up?
Cody Colton Gaming, what's up, man? How you doing?
Another day, another dollar, right? Is that what they say?
Yeah, somewhere. I don't know if people are getting dollars anymore.
I'll take that in Bitcoin, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's exciting. Today's show is exactly 1 day prior to the up-and-coming NFL draft that everyone is super excited about.
Yes. So I have 2 tickets to that tomorrow, and they're sold out. And I'm glad that I caught them.
Now, when you say you have tickets to it,
I'm going to the stadium. I'm going to. I believe they're having it at Daly's place. They had it there last year.
Daly's place, yeah.
Yeah.
Are they going to have people in the stadium or just in the Daly's place part?
So I mean, the fact that it's like sold out, I'm thinking that it's just Daly's.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did have like an overflow and where people could watch it on the boards a couple of years before that, but I don't know if they're doing that anymore.
I mean, when you built those boards, I mean, that was like you boasted about the boards, right? So why not utilize it for your fans on draft night? I don't know.
I mean, they have this like a little stage, and it's more personal, like at Daly's place than it is, like on the field and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a big screen in there too. We watched it during the Chiefs game, the AFC game, whatever. So it was like, I don't know. It's nice to me, I guess. I like it. It just feels more personal to the team and stuff. Like Big John Henderson was literally here, and I was like, "Is that John? Is that Big John?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't know. Like, I can't." Because you don't expect that to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
And it was. He like walked directly on stage and started like gave the best Duval ever, And I was just like, that would not happen in the bank. Yeah.
Right.
So
cool.
Stuff like that is cool, yeah.
What kind of activities are they gonna have for those that decide to head down to the bank?
I actually haven't really checked into that. Before though, it was like, go inside the training field, take some pictures with some things, and there's like little stuff to do for the kids. They're like throwing footballs around or whatever. It was a really fun time. Every time that I've went. So.
And how many years will this be for you? You've attended?
Oh man, since I say like 2015 when I like really became a Jags fan because I lived in Jacksonville.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was like I don't know, it was this free thing or whatever. It happens downtown and it's like super fun or whatever. Like I love football, so I was like talking to coworkers and stuff, and the dealership that I worked at is one of the sponsors for the Jaguars. So they give us free tickets. I've been up in the cabanas, a couple of times or whatever. So it was like, I can't not love the team just because it's so close and it's so personal. Like I watched like we were just talking about the Braves earlier or whatever before the show officially started. I've never met Chipper, and I don't think I'm ever going to be honest. It's but like I've ran into Josh Scobie and me and him like had full blown conversations. So I have a picture with Tony Baselli, like a Hall of Fame, NFL player. Like me and my wife have a selfie with him. Like that's insane. Like the atmosphere here is unmatched, like compared to any other team that I've ever been a fan of. You can't get this close to the action, so to speak.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, what we'll talk about today is just go over some Jaguars news. Now it is the off season, so it's not a whole lot to talk about. Today, April 26th, that is April 26th today. Devon Hamilton, actually, our defensive tackle, is now the 14th highest average paid defensive tackle in the National Football League. He has signed a 3-year, $34.5 million. 23 of it is fully guaranteed, and he could potentially make up to $36 million a year. What stands out to me there? Well, first of all, the numbers. It's interesting because it's a $23 million fully guaranteed over 3 years. And it's just interesting because you see these quarterbacks, that's like piddly money, right? Like all these, like Watson, who signed recently. I mean, his entire contract is fully guaranteed. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. And here he is 14th at his position as far as salary goes, and 23 million of it is fully guaranteed. Now, I'm not saying that's not a lot of money, because that's a crap ton of money. I mean, that's wealth. That is wealth. But in comparison to what we're seeing the quarterbacks get, it is small in comparison. But I myself, as a Jaguars fan, am super excited to have him tied up for the next 3 years, and I assume that helps the cap as well to get him. I know that's ways that you can manipulate the cap is getting people signed up for long term, spread the money out over time. When actually over the cap has us at almost 15 million in cap space right now, so that gives us some room to make some more moves before the start of the season. I can't imagine any moves happening in the next 24 hours before the draft. So
You say that, and then
yeah.
How many times have we done that on the show? And then the next day, literally the next day,
bro, that's true. That's true. We don't have a good track record there.
Yeah.
Anything else of note?
I mean, I'm happy that Devon has signed the deal. Like, getting those big guys or whatever in the trenches is crucial, and we hit with that pick, I think.
Yeah. Third round.
He's good. He's worth the money. Like, I think comparing to the quarterback, I think is a little bit like, it just seems like it's like what as far as like the play call goes, whatever, knock this guy down. It's like a single job. You know what I mean? Like, just get through there, get to the pocket, and take this guy out. So it's kind of like dude sweeping the floor, dude's a manager. I mean, not in like I hate like taking a knock out of this position, because I'm not. There used to be people that have to work like extremely hard to get there, but it's just like, as far as like money goes and is concerned, or whatever, he's not those people in that position aren't the face of the franchise, and it's really hard for them to get into the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, because they have to like show and prove, like, to an extent that's just insane for them to even get some sort of headlines or recognition.
Right.
So, yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I didn't mean to like make it sound like he's like it's not a position of note or of worth or whatever, because it definitely is. Because lacking in that position and whatever, you feel it, you feel it real bad or whatever, and especially in a division where there's a bunch of good running backs, not a lot of good anything else, but so yeah, man, I'm happy for him, and I hope he gets. I hope he gets the production out, and I hope he gets more money in the future. Maybe things will maybe the market will. It's definitely an upward trend.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, he's not making pennies at all.
Buku bucks,
especially being at the 14th overall for his position. But yeah. Anything else of note you can think of?
As far as
just Jaguars news?
Just Jaguars in general. So there's a lot of talk on Twitter about, like, we're gonna get into the draft now. You want to do that
once we're done with the news?
Oh, let's see. I don't know, just the thing that you said that you really want to bring up. Should I
Oh,
bring?
yeah, hard pass.
Okay.
Plus we got plenty to talk about now. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Well, then that's
So
it
heading
then.
into the draft tomorrow, the Jacksonville Jaguars surprisingly are not drafting in the top 1 like we have in the past 2 years, or the top 5 like we have in the past 25 years, or so it seems. We are drafting 24th overall, which is a rarity for us, but it's bittersweet. It's bitter because dadgum, we're all the way down at 24, and realistically, there's probably in any given draft 18 to 22 actual first round graded players coming into the draft. But it's sweet because that means we had an excellent season, which in fact we did. Hopefully, we get that final overall pick in the first round, because that means we got the Super Bowl, which I think it might happen next couple years.
Yeah, for sure.
So first off, we'll just talk about what do you think, Cody, the Jaguars needs? Not what do you think all these pundits are saying. What do you think we need as a Jaguars fan?
So, uh, like getting to the quarterback was one of our main issues last season, and I don't know why. Like Devon Hamilton, Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, like all these first round draft picks, whatever that we had, over the past, half a decade, and that's a problem. Like why?
Yeah.
So, but it's like, and do you fix that with another first round draft pick? I don't. At this point, I wouldn't even trust it. So, the other thing was like we would lose games by a single touchdown, and we would get into the red zone, and then we just wouldn't be able to like hammer it home. And I think with somebody, because for me, like Travis Etienne is he's like a Swifty back, whatever. He gets in and out,
Yeah.
He's like moving across, whatever. So when like it's up to the red zone and everybody's backed up into this small group, this tight group, not really able to like punch it across the goal line. Trevor Lawrence was able to do it a couple of times, but and Travis Etienne found those holes every once in a while. But if we had somebody like a Leonard Fournette, whatever, somebody like big body, that kind of the jump over the pile kind of dude, that would be amazing. With all that being said, I would say cornerback. and why is because it's such a loaded position, and at that pick we'll be getting the top of the pile. I don't think they're going to be like always like gone by then or whatever. I think they're still going to be they're still deep in the second round as far as I found or whatever. And the reason why I say this again, even like excluding the needs, is because I've seen when other teams pick need first, they missed. And like there's pundits out there, they're saying like we should pick an offensive lineman. No, that's a miss. There's going to be offensive linemen later on or whatever that are, and it's not like a huge need. Trevor has one of the quickest releases in the NFL. Like, set hike, whatever, the ball's gone. So I just think it's at that pick, the late pick that we have, and where those positions are good at. I think it's going to be a huge possibility that we hit in that area. Just any defensive back position, really, because there's a couple of good strong safeties and free safeties there too as well.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You're going with cornerback, huh?
Yeah.
I would agree. I think me personally, if I were the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, my approach to this draft would be 120% defense. Every single draft would go to the defensive side. And you kind of talked about it a little bit. Trevor Lawrence doesn't necessarily need a better offensive lineman. Yes, it'd be nice to have all pros across the line, but that's not possible, right? I think those that we have there right now are very competent at what they do. I think Walker Little has a lot of potential, and I know the organization is high on him. So I say roll with him. You could pick somebody up in, in the as an undrafted free agent. There's other ways you can go about it, but if it were me, I would 100% go all in on the defensive side. Trevor Lawrence does have the legs, like you said. He can roll out if he needs to. We saw several plays last year where his legs not only extended the play but got him a first down far down the field. And also, like you said, he's got a quick release. So if needs to roll out of the pocket and everything's clogged up, he can still throw it down or throw it away. So it's not like having Byron Leftwich, right? That guy was a statue. But again, I'm not saying we just need to put scrubs out there on the offensive line. Not at all. But I do think the pieces we have currently work, and they'll get us to where we want to go. So I would say go all defense, and I agree with you. I think a solid cornerback should be our number one priority, and then work on the line, pass rushers. So I'd say number one overall, our need would be cornerback, then pass rushers, and I mean, I guess at every position, right? Then I'd say I wouldn't say linebacker because I feel like we have a million of those that we can still run out, and so I'd say cornerback, pass rusher, and safety. Those would be my three needs for the Jaguars.
So, sorry, a lot of people on Twitter are saying Brian Branch. Would you agree with that?
I think so. He's more of a safety. I know he can fill the nickel,
right?
And I know why they pick him, just because that's just the way the draft falls, right? Like he's most likely to fall to as far to us, and it does fill a need, but
right.
So we've talked about our needs. What do you wish if this was a Make-A-Wish Foundation? Who would you pick? And it can't be John Cena.
So like at just the first round, because like my favorite pick is probably like second.
We'll go for the first 3 rounds.
Okay.
So again, it's got to be something realistic. No trades are involved. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have said Myles Murphy. I don't think he's going to fall that far down.
Okay. So we'll say move up realistically. I mean, I think anything farther than 18 or 19 isn't realistic.
Yeah.
I think if we were to move up, it'd probably be the highest 20.
Right.
So within those parameters, we'll give you all the way to 18.
Okay, so man, I still don't know if he's going to be there at 18, but I'll just say it. Myles Murphy. So out of Clemson, and this guy just like he reminds me of like I don't know, just feel like he's going to be huge. I feel like he's just going to be like a dog or whatever, like an absolute monster for any offense to see. Just this guy on the other side, and there's a lot of quarterbacks out there, young quarterbacks that are seeing ghost. So yeah, and it's strictly based off of that. Whatever. I watched him play, and if we don't pick up like he's like Jalen Carter without the legal trouble.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah. So, because we don't really have, like I said this on the main podcast, we don't really have luck when it comes to players in legal trouble. But so second round, Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina. And it's his style of play more than anything else. Like he's very in the wide receiver's face. Like every play that I've seen him in or whatever, he's very close. And like when he can't break something up, whatever, the tackle is immediate because he's right there. Like this dude is a magnet, and he's aggressive, like super aggressive. And I was saying in the main podcast or whatever, they might like if we pick him up, he might get us in some trouble early on in the season, but it would be worth it just to have somebody out there that like wide receivers are like kind of scared of. Like there's not many quarterbacks in the league right now that's happening with, and I feel like he would be one of them. Darius Slay is the only one that I can think of. Jalen Ramsey's like this is a trash talker, kind of get into your head, like it's a feminine trait. but but Cam Smith is he's more like it kind of reminds me of like MMA fights, like the what do they do like before the fight, whatever, they stand off. What's it called?
The weigh-in.
Yeah, the weigh-in.
The
Yeah,
weigh-in.
the weigh-ins. Yeah, and they have to like get real close over there, and they're like, that's what Cam Smith is like. Catch that ball. Just waiting to knock somebody out. But so in the third round, Jason Voorhees. I mean, not Jason. Voorhees. What's his first name? Hold on, I'll look it up. Voorhees. He's a offensive lineman, and
you'd go O-line. Okay.
Yeah. So and that's in the third. It's like once like the late second comes around, because all the mock drafts and stuff I did or whatever, there's some good like wide receivers still on the board, but we don't really, it's not like a huge need for us. I mean, at all, really. And Voorhees is just a like he had this injury, but without that, he's a first rounder.
Right.
Yeah, so he dropped that far. So he's a steal. And this guy's he's really good. So that's one of those, like, it's just a value pick for me, because like if you start picking for need, you miss, and that's just one of the feelings that I get. Like if he's still there, take him. And I feel like he probably will drop that far. So that's my three: Myles Murphy, Cam Smith, and then Voorhees. And his first name is Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah.
All right. Andrew, welcome to the team. So I'll say this. I just looked at a ton of mock drafts. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much all of them have Myles Murphy going to New Orleans at 29.
Oh, wow.
So if that's the apple of your eye, he's available. There was one that had him going 13 maybe.
Oh, that's cool.
14, but the majority of them have him dropping all the way to New Orleans, Nylands.
Yeah, he's their style of play for sure. So aggressive, get after it.
That's the apple of your eye. He is pretty much most drafts I looked at. He's there. So, but yeah, I'd seen one where he went, here on the Ringer. I guess they have him going 13th overall, but we'll see. So for me, my wish list. So if we could trade up to 18, Joey Porter Jr. would be my dream. That would be my dream pick. Do I think he's going to last till 18? It's possible. I've seen some mock drafts have him going as far as 28. So I think for me, my wish list, number one, and I think most likely it would require draft or a trade up, would be Joey Porter Jr. He's not only has he performed well in college, college. He's got the pedigree there, right, from his dad. So I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think he'll add a lot um, to what we need.
A
Excuse me. And then
Nittany
having
Lion.
an opposite side of Tyson, right? I mean, that's huge, like huge. Then we have both sides of the field pretty set. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come in and light the world up, but I think he has the potential to be a lockdown corner, and um, which I think the reason. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to go with a lot of different people, but I think having some solid corners on both sides of the field can free up some pressure on the defensive line, and especially in the AFC where we're going up against Josh Allen, Joey Burr, and all of the AFC quarterbacks you can think of. I mean, you're gonna need some lockdown corners. Yeah, you're gonna get beat by some wide receivers. It's gonna happen. I mean, Jamar Chase is ridiculous, but having those guys at the corners I think is massive. So that would be my first round dream come true. Second round, I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna go with Iowa State edge Will McDonald. Haven't heard much about him, but they say so he's average at best when it comes to run defense. So he's gonna be a one-trick pony. He's gonna get at the quarterback. But I think if you can get that in the second round, that one-trick pony that's just gonna pin his ears back and get to the quarterback. And kind of like I said, we've got these AFC quarterbacks that we're gonna have to deal with. When we get to the AFC conference championship game every single year, we're gonna have to defeat them, right? And so the best thing is to have a guy on that line, pin his ears back. He's got the help of his cornerbacks. That's gonna give him just that extra second he needs to just bend right around that offensive lineman and sack Josh Allen to the ground. So I'd go with him again. He's average at best against the run, which I think means he's not going to get picked because I feel like most of the players that they're picking, they kind of are tools like a Swiss Army knife. They're good at a lot of things, but they're not a master of one. Which is, for example, look at the previous draft. We could have had Aiden Hutchinson. He's more of a one-trick pony. He's going to tear it up, getting at the quarterback, right? Maybe not the best at run defense, but so I think we can get our Aiden Hutchinson in the second round this year via Will McDonald. And then for the third round, I mean, such a crapshoot. Like, you have no idea what's going to be available then. But I would go with another cornerback, Clark Phillips. I don't know much about him, I'll be honest. But he was the 22 Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. I'll take it. So yeah, I'd go cornerback, defensive lineman, and cornerback again. So that's my wish list. You're welcome.
That's cool. A Nittany Lion. Who do they play?
Who?
Yeah, who does Penn State play? Like, what's their division again?
Big Ten.
Big Ten. Oh, so like Ohio.
Ohio State.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like once a year.
Yeah.
That's woo. That's tough. That's that schedule, man. That's scary.
So that would be my wish list.
Yeah.
And now we'll move on to who do you think they will actually pick?
Dave Caldwell's not there anymore. So think just like, man, I'm so grateful for that. Like, I really hated knowing the draft picks. They're going to pick somebody from Florida. Yep. And I think that's why every mock draft has us picking that guard out of Florida. I honestly think that, and it's like, because these pundits don't really know the team like like fans do or whatever. We pay attention to this stuff because it means more to us, than it does to them.
Yeah.
So what Dave Caldwell's gone, whatever. So those types of picks haven't been happening for 2 years now. And it's noticeable. Super
Yeah,
noticeable.
I agree.
So um with that being said, a lot of defensive ends have been coming to visit in Jacksonville. Um and I actually had a list here. I could look it up real quick. I should have this stuff open already. Um, but let's see. So I think I honestly think that they think that the same way we do, whatever, that getting after the quarterback is a need, and they want to do it with a defensive end. Um, I hate when this happens. Like you have something or whatever, and then you look for it and it's gone.
Yeah.
I have a meme for this, and I'm scrolling for a meme for an hour. But if I wasn't looking for it, it'd just be like right there.
That's right.
Man, dude, all the time sucks so bad. Yeah, do you want to like?
Yeah, I'll
pick
go.
this? Okay.
So this isn't my favorite pick, but I think for the number one overall pick, I think the Jaguars will select Brian Branch. I'm not saying the guy's bad, but kind of what I said earlier, that they pick guys that are more of a Swiss Army knife that can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, not necessarily a master of one, but a jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of a hybrid slot corner and safety. So if they want to move him up, put him on the corner, they can. They want to push him back into safety, they can. I mean, look at Trayvon Walker last year. The guy's not. I mean, he has the potential to be a crazy pass rushing defensive end, but he's more of a Swiss Army knife right now, right?
Yeah.
And so I think Brian Branch would be the pick. I would, if there's no plans on moving up or down at all, I think Deontay Banks could potentially be there, and that would be my pick. And I do see some crazy drafts where Porter Jr. somehow, some way falls that far, and I think they would pick him up. But I think if I were a gambling man, the Jaguars today would be picking Brian Branch, which is not a bad pick.
Right.
I'm not saying that's a bad pick. It just wouldn't be my pick. I would hope for Deontay Banks to go down there, and I'd grab him. Second round, again, it's such a crapshoot. I think they do go offense, and I think they potentially grab a tight end. I couldn't tell you who. I know that this year's tight end draft is pretty deep, and so excuse me. I think they get a tight end in the second round. I don't think the number one overall tight end is going to be available. It's the guy out of Notre Dame, I believe.
Was it Dalton Kincaid? Is that was
No,
that's one of the tight
Michael
ends.
Mayer.
And then
Michael
there's
Mayer.
Darnell Washington.
Yeah, Washington is So, so I don't think Michael Mayer. I think he's the number one overall tight end, but I think Darnell Washington might be the pick, or just any tight end, honestly.
Yeah.
And for the third round, I think they go back to the defense. I think picking tight end on the second round, I don't think that means we're not going to keep Evan Ingram. I still think we're going to get him for the long term. I think he gets the long term contract because next year we have several players that are going to come up for a new contract, and I think you're going to need that tag, that franchise tag, for one of those players. And so if we don't get Evan Ingram signed up now, we're not going to have him later. Saying that, I think even if we do pick a tight end, I still think we're going to get Evan Ingram signed up long term. But I think having a tight end that that can block along the line, a blocking tight end, but that can also catch, which I guess we already have in Dan Arnold. So I don't know. I'm not very good at these things after the first round, I'll be honest. But so I think realistically, Jaguars will pick Branch at the first overall pick. That's it for me.
I mean, there's a lot of people that'd be excited about that pick. I mean, it makes people happy, for sure. But so I found the list, and these are the people that visited. There was edge, D line, offensive line, running back, and one wide receiver. And the wide receiver is like what was going on there? Like I wonder. Quentin Johnson visited, and like I feel like he's going to go up like higher than what we could potentially trade up to.
We're not
And
getting wide receiver.
yeah, yeah,
See, that's why I put zero stock in visits.
right,
Zero stock in
yeah.
visits.
But I mean, so what I was saying earlier is the problems that we were having last season was getting to the quarterback and crossing, converting in the red zone. And you convert in the red zone with, they got some big running backs on here, and then they got edges in D line or whatever that get after quarterbacks. They got Byron Young from Tennessee. That has sacked every potential quarterback that is going off in the first round. So I mean that makes sense to me, and I believe based off of these visits and what the need is that they go edge in the first round, and whoever it may be at that position or at that pick. So like if Miles Murphy falls that far, I might see him for real. Nolan Smith. I got Derek Hall in here out of Auburn. Those are all potentials, and I believe that that's what they do. I don't know who for certain because there's so many. They probably just have like a kind of 1 to 10 chart or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, it's this guy at this pick, whatever. That's who fell to us, and they're going to give him a call.
Yeah.
So I can't really say a name. But after that, second round pick is that one's tough.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what other thing do they think that their need is? Because we see cornerback and people like Brian Branch or whatever, just because they're it's such a good position at that pick or whatever. And all the mock drafts that we've done, like it's like, oh my God, you got to take this guy right here, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they do that, but if they don't, like, what position do they go after? I'm not gonna try to figure it out. I really don't have any idea.
I think they're going to go offensive line in second round.
Do you think so?
I say the tight end, and I wanted to say the tight end because I feel like if you can get a pass blocking tight end, that kind of gets two birds with one stone. And we're supposed to have a pretty deep draft as far as tight ends goes. But I want to recant that, and I want to say that we'll probably go offensive line. I wouldn't, but I think the Jaguars will. And I think that's more or less just a plan for the future. And that's not putting any sort of unbelief in what we have on the offensive line. I think that's just more or less, you see what happened this past year. We lost our right tackle.
Yeah.
Here we go again, not remembering the freaking Jaguar. Anyways, we lost our right tackle to the Chiefs, right? So I think that's just I think they're gonna pick an offensive tackle with the understanding that yes, we have a good core, but this core's most likely not gonna stay together. Or maybe Cam Robinson doesn't play as well as we would like him to towards the end of his contract, and then we have somebody already waiting in the wings. There's just a lot of possibilities. I think that's where I think they're going to go is offensive line second round.
So talking about Shat? I can't remember who got injured, to be honest. But yeah, so if they go for something that they think they need, I just feel like they're going to miss.
Juwan Taylor. Golly.
Juwan Taylor got injured? Oh, yeah.
He's with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I know. You said, okay, he got traded to the Chiefs?
No. Sorry. He got picked up by the Chiefs.
Okay.
because we wouldn't pay him $80 million.
Oh, I thought you said he got hurt. I was like, who got hurt last year?
No. Well, no.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's my fault. Um, yeah, but so the second round is just gonna be a surprise, and I'm just gonna be like, cool. If they pick Cam Smith though, I'm like, what? Yeah, this is insane. Oh my god, I'm gonna be there. Atmosphere is gonna be ecstatic. There's been times before where I've been excited about a draft pick. I was like, oh, they got Trayvon Campbell. And then I'm the only one doing this, and everybody else is like, who? Like, you'll see. He's gonna lock down the bank. Like tell stuff like that's gonna happen. Anyway, so third round, I think O-line or running back. And it's just one of the O-line that visited. You might find this exciting. Cooper Hodges out of App State.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And he seems like a third round sort of material guy.
That's pretty high for the Jaguars, or for App State. I mean,
yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, they've been killing it. Giant beaters.
they are, but they're more of a team versus the player. Like their team's really good. Like our best running back that we've had in years is he was drafted, but he's just been bouncing around teams and practice squads. So I'm looking at pre-draft visits by the Jaguars in previous years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last year was an outlier because with the number 1 overall pick, you kind of got to do your homework on a lot of players, right? Because you don't want to mess it up, and yet you still messed it up, but that's neither here nor there.
Can we give him like a break? I mean, I know it's like the first number 1 overall pick or whatever, but like, I don't know, because I just feel like I was just looking out for you as a friend or whatever. Because like, what if he just like has an amazing season and then it's
I hope he does. I hope he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. I just don't think with the number 1 overall pick, and it's nothing against him, although he did make some boneheaded mistakes last year that had nothing to do with skill and everything to do with making immature plays that affected the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
That did not help his candidacy with me whatsoever. But I do think the dude's talented. I hope he's a all-pro every single year because he's performing well. But I think the Jaguars should have drafted Aiden Hutchinson, and I'll stick to that.
Still on that train.
Yeah, I'll stick onto it until otherwise.
I just feel like this. Like you said, Aiden Hutchinson is the one-trick pony, and whatever he sacks the quarterback, we get it, right? And then you said Trayvon Walker is the Swiss Army knife, whatever. He's all over the field. There's sacks and interceptions to his name, whatever. He's following people, tight ends, wide receivers in the middle and stuff, and also going after the quarterback. If he turns out to be the player that he is supposed to be this season or whatever, it is going to be unbelievable. Like the defense that we have, whatever, and how much the stock rises up in our favor or whatever. And I just, I'm not completely, it'd be insane to completely count him out right now. But yeah, I agree. Like first overall pick, whatever, you just got to be better,
And again, I'm not
generational.
I'm not blaming Trayvon Walker on his lack of talent or whatever.
Right.
I blame him for his boneheaded mistakes on the field that cost games. Yes, but
we were getting after Trevor Lawrence too. Like, oh, you first overall quarterback, whatever, generational talent. Like, making stupid mistakes, like throwing these picks and stuff, and then he carried us.
I never doubted Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, I'm just looking at the stats from this year: 3.5 sacks and 1 interception. That's Trayvon Walker. Aiden Hutchinson, 9.5 sacks, 3 interceptions. So
holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. Tackles, 49 tackles for Walker, 52 for Aiden Hutchinson. So
the numbers, definitely picked a favorite there, didn't they?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Aiden Hutchinson proved this year that he should have been the number 1 overall pick this year. That doesn't mean Trayvon Walker can't go out next year and do that. The problem, I think what's going to hamper in the statistics category, what's going to hamper Trayvon Walker is that the scheme that they have that we run and what they ask him to do, he's most likely not going to be a double-digit sacker every single year. You know,
Right.
10 sacks might be his ceiling,
Hmm.
not because of his own faults, but because of how they deploy him, and that's
Right.
fine. But make your presence be known elsewhere on the field. And
Yes.
we've talked about this before, and he's not the only one. Josh Allen, they disappear during games. And unfortunately, Trayvon Walker also has those stupid boneheaded mistakes that he made last year. And that, again, whether you're drafted one or Mr. Irrelevant, I'm going to hate you for it. So,
So this is bringing up some old feelings or whatever, and I'm finally going to say it on the podcast live. During the month of October, when we had those 4 losses, like back to back to back, whatever, and because of what you just said right there, or whatever, like how Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, they would just disappear, and it's like they put up this production before, like what's going on, now, whatever. Why is all of a sudden like it's just not the same thing, whatever. Um, when are we going to start going like Mike Codwell? What's going on here, and not like the players and the talent on the field, because obviously they're first round draft talent. If they would have went
right.
to another team, whatever, would they have done better, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, is our defensive coordinator at fault here, and not the a massive amount of talent that we have on the field?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, is them being out of position, is them not being in their skill set, doing what they could do best. Is that the fault of the player, or is that the fault of the defensive coordinator? And I swear to God, I was this close last year. I was like right on that line. They started calling themselves the J villains and stuff like that, and I was like, not in October, you weren't. Not in October, man. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe it just started getting cold for him. I don't know. but
Yeah.
I didn't blame it on the players. I blamed it on the defensive coordinator solely. I felt like that would fall on his shoulders, because if you have that much talent and you don't do anything with it, or whatever, what are you doing?
Yeah. And there were people calling he had such an up and down season. I remember the beginning of the season, people were worried because they came out on fire on the defensive side. And they were
Yes.
talking about, well, crap, we're only going to have a one and done with our defensive coordinator because he's going to go get a head coaching job. But
Right.
like you said, by November, they were calling for his head. But by the end of the year, because we were winning, it wasn't either way. It was just have to meet him, which I think is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think what'll be super nice is to have an entire offseason with all of these players with the same defensive coordinator, the same scheme, the same playbook.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll help out a ton.
I wasn't gonna say like fire him or whatever. I was just gonna start calling him out, and
Yeah.
he like so close to doing it. But I just didn't cross that line or whatever, because things started turning around or whatever. And when that happens, we beat the Ravens. that's what happened. We went from losing the Detroit Lions to beating the Ravens, and not just like,
I think it was vice versa.
Hmm?
I think we beat the Ravens and then lost to the Lions.
Oh, you think?
I could be wrong, but
So anyway, yeah, it is something of that nature happened, and I was like, okay, this is, maybe it clicked. Maybe it finally clicked with everybody, and everybody's, got on the same page, and it worked out. But yeah, man, you give them, you give the defense time to work together, to click or whatever, and then you give, if that doesn't work out, you give the coach like another year, I would say, to like figure it out. And if the production isn't there or whatever, and you stop, trying to point the blame at like people that we could trade right now and still get really good like draft picks for, really good other player potential for, because they're valuable at that position. So I'm glad he figured it out though.
yeah, it was the Ravens on the 27th of November, and then it was the Lions December 4th.
Oh, okay.
So if we had not lost to the Lions, we would have actually won a lot more in a row. Just saying.
Right.
Um, but no, I know you're a Bulldogs fan, so you got a soft spot for those Bulldogs.
Oh,
And
you think it's
again, I have nothing against him in his school. In fact, I love it when they beat the Gators, and there's nothing against him as a player or person. I just wish the organization would have picked Aiden Hutchinson because, I mean, even at the end of the day, if you have the wrong scheme, but you have the right player who can just pin his ears back and get at the quarterback, like I think if TJ Watt were on our team in the same situation, I think he'd still get 15, 16, 20 sacks. He's a different human being if he's
right.
even human. So
Yeah.
that's not a fair. Um,
I would have rather have gotten Quay Walker.
really.
Yeah.
Well, he was more of a he was asked to pin his ears back and just rush, right?
Mm,
Not like Walker, who was kind of asked to do this and that.
yeah.
Which, hey, if it works out again, if he only has if his ceiling is 10 sacks in the system, but it's effective and he's all over the field making not necessarily tackles, but making an impact on the game, I'm fine with it. But he just didn't do that this year.
Right.
So, and I'm not calling for his head, but if we were to go back and redraft and I was in charge, it'd be at Hutchinson.
There's some of those plays that happen where, like, if you got to watch them in the film room, you got to watch them like somebody break them down and stuff like that, like where people were at and what they did and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I never notice it when an offensive lineman gets a pancake. Like, it has to be, it's like a power bomb or whatever. And, it has to be like right there next to the quarterback while he still has a football in his hand for me to even catch it, So I didn't do this, and I promised myself that I would, but I wanted to go back and like film room Trayvon Walker to see like what was going on, what he was actually doing on the field, especially during those months of October.
Yeah.
Because it was like, was he there? Like, they stopped calling his name. I was like, do we even have him anymore? Like, did he get hurt? I was literally looking up the IR. Like, what? I was like, what is going on?
Him and freaking Josh Allen just decided to take some time off, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
58
minutes. You were right, man. 20 minutes was the time frame, whatever. And we're like, it's draft. You were like, it's draft talk. We're definitely going.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know if we're done yet. Like, so kind of getting away from the Jaguars, though. How interesting is the number 1 and number 2 picks right now with Will Levis? All of a sudden, his betting odds going from plus whatever to the odds on favorite to be picked number 1 overall.
It's so dumb to me.
And
I can you want me to explain why? Like,
I think that is one of those clear and obvious smoke screens.
Yeah.
I think Bryce Young is. I've talked about this in shows before. I think Bryce Young. Drop down, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, and then I'm not even talking about the other quarterbacks though.
Yeah. It comes down to like clickbait kind of stuff, whatever. Which at the fan battle we don't do, which I'm very proud of.
Not yet. Wait till the sponsors start rolling in.
Yeah, but it's like so just the Google Analytics, what draft prospect quarterback name is getting bought up the most, and it's Will Levis for whatever reason. Like, he's just like, I think it's more of a meme, a joke, whatever at this point than it is like, his professionality. Because it's definitely Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and there's no if the third is like, there's a steep drop off. Bryce and CJ are like that, whatever, and then third's way down here.
Yeah.
So I honestly feel like that's what it is, and the media lies, folks. Like Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel. You know what I mean? Like, they're the end all be all. They're going to turn the Cleveland Browns around. They're the best quarterback that the NCAA has ever seen. They're going to go to the NFL and light it up, son.
Yeah.
And then look what happens.
I mean, and just look what happened this past few days. Will Levis was, the talk of the town. All of a sudden, he's gonna be number one overall pick. But just think about what was it last week when Bryce Young canceled all the rest of his. Was it? Yeah, he canceled the rest of his visits because supposedly he was told that he was gonna be picked by the Panthers, and now all of a sudden, and of course that was everyone. Everyone's like, okay, it's Bryce Young. We can go on to the second pick. Now all of a sudden, Will Levis is like, he's the number one overall pick. So it's so many smoke screens, which is I think this one is one of the more obvious smoke screens.
Yeah.
I mean, crazier things have happened, but
so the CJ Stroud thing, as far as the Panthers like telling him that was caught on camera. It was at some sort of like training camp, and it was like
that was Stroud.
Yeah, Stroud. Yeah,
Stroud was told he's gonna be picked number one.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay. I mixed it up. I thought it was Bryce Young.
Yeah, it was Stroud, and he said something. I'm like, we can do this or whatever. Talking to the Carolina Panthers head coach, and the Carolina Panthers head coach said, you come to Charlotte and we'll be able to all the time, or something like that, something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And then people saw that video and just blew it out of proportion. But that says a lot. That's that says that he's in their focal point. I don't know if I honestly think CJ goes first with the Panthers, and I think that Bryce Young goes to the Texans. Hopefully they make that decision.
I think it goes Bryce Young first overall, and then I think the Texans will go with Will
Levis.
I think we'll go with Will, but not that Will Anderson.
Okay.
I think so. And here's a crazy take, and I talked about this with the Houston guys after the podcast this past week, but I'm a Knowles fan, and I'm a known Gator hater through and through. There's a lot of things, like I will do anything for love, but I won't do that, and that's root for the Gators. and I hate them so much. And it doesn't help when the radio stations that I listen to are all Gator affiliated in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And so you got to listen to all these stupid homers. It's the worst. It's literally the worst. And then you got to hear
like Urban Meyer was the best quarterback. I mean, they thought Urban Meyer was going to like change Jacksonville, like he was going to bring all these championships.
Well, I don't know. A lot of the Gator fans that I talked to absolutely didn't want it because they hated that, he was too good for the Gators and went to the Ohio State.
Specifically talking about their radio show.
Oh,
yeah.
There were a couple on there who didn't like him, but no. So I'm prefacing all of that because I think there's a potential that Anthony Richardson could be legit. I think he is one of the biggest boom or bust quarterbacks or even just players coming out of the draft that I've ever seen. I think he's a player that's either he's gonna be like better than Cam Newton or worse than Ryan Leaf or Jamarcus Russell. He's gonna go either way. I don't think he's gonna like eat all the McRibs that he can find and get fat like Jamarcus Russell. I just think he'll either like figure it out, things will click, and his athleticism and then everything clicking in his head will just make him something that we don't want to see, or it won't click and he's going to fumble his way out of the NFL. And so either way, I don't want to see him drafted into the AFC, but specifically the AFC South by either the Texans or the Colts, because if he does boom, that's going to suck.
Right.
It's going to suck. And so that makes it even more imperative that they draft crazy athletic guys on the defensive side. And you know what? If he does boom and he's for some reason on the Texans or the Colts, that makes Trayvon Walker pick that much better. Right?
Yes.
Because Anthony Richardson, he's just watching him. And again, I hate the Gators. I hate everything about them. And their fans are the worst. People talk about Yankees fans, Red Sox fans. Dude, Gator fans are the bane of my existence. They are the armpit of the fan universe. They are the worst.
This is now the Gator hater hour.
Oh my gosh. I could make this the Gator hater year. The year of the Gator hater. Oh, I hate that. Sorry. I just hate him. And what made it worse is like, his quarterback, his coach, like his personal coach, outside of the university that he's been working with for years, he would go
Mm.
on and do a show with the Jacksonville radio station, and he would every week get some sort of excuse about why Anthony Richardson wasn't, didn't perform well. Well, we're working with him on this, and if he just had better help, a better offensive line, and you know what? That's what Anthony Richardson did too. He blamed a lot of his downfalls on his coaching staff,
Mm.
which I think that's going to keep a lot of teams away from him. Sorry, that's my rant for the day. My apologies.
No, it's fine.
I hate
It's
the Gators.
so he reminds me of RG3. Like as far as like play style goes, but he's not. Like he's there that team had their strength of schedule, whatever, wasn't to par. I don't feel like, the LSU was on a down year. Tennessee was they lost to Tennessee.
Who did?
The Gators.
Oh yeah, the Gators lost to everybody.
Yeah.
They lost to Vanderbilt, bro.
Yeah.
My Podunk High School here could be Vanderbilt.
Right. I mean, it's just I there was like I just remember Anthony Richardson like scrambling for his life. Or Williamson, sorry. What is it? Yes.
It's Anthony Richardson, A-Rod.
Is it okay?
Or
Here we go.
AR.
Sorry.
AR.
I get him and like somebody else confused with like a similar name. It's just I don't know. It's just so stupid what my brain does sometimes. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, he's like the scrambler, like outside the pocket, kind of like make something happen, or like it goes the other way and it's bad. Kind of quarterback, and it's just like. But he's not good at it. Like he's not like a Deshaun Watson. He's not like a.
He can be though.
But it's those flash in the pan moments. You know what I mean? It's not consistent, and it's
exactly,
and especially like when you go to the NFL, whatever, you have to have that level of consistency at something. You got to be great at something, whatever, in order to survive one of these like brutal gauntlets, or whatever that comes down to the NFL, because it's not, it's like you're playing Georgia every week.
Yeah.
And that didn't turn out too well for y'all. Go Dogs.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like it's flashes in the pan, but I think the problem is he has the attributes, he has the traits, the skills that if he can put it all together, it's dangerous. Like, and I think what's left is up here. And I think if whoever drafts him, I think he needs to sit for a year, maybe two, and just tell him, hey, bro, we're drafting you, and you're just going to sit on the bench, and you just need to soak in everything about being a quarterback. Like 24/7, that's all you need to think about. You don't have to worry about leading the team. You don't have to worry about being rah-rah, picking everybody up. Just go to a dark room like Aaron Rodgers with the quarterback's coach for the next year and just be better. And I think if they did something like that with him, not that drastic, right? But if they sat him for a year and didn't give him any responsibilities outside of just being a better quarterback, I think that could be dangerous.
But you don't waste number 2 on that pick,
I mean,
if you're doing that and then he sits behind Case Keenum and Davis Mills.
I mean, I would honestly, if I were the Texans or if I were the Colts, I would draft Anthony Richardson.
They supposedly have a QB guru over there, but
with the Colts, yeah.
Oh, the Colts too. Okay.
Well, I think maybe both teams might be saying it, but I know the Colts potential. They like it could be scary if it clicks with the Colts. The Colts.
Yeah.
No, I totally would, because here's the thing. I think CJ Stroud, I think outside of Bryce Young, and even Bryce Young, honestly, I don't even know. Like, honestly, if I were GM, and I'm not, and there's a very good reason why, but if I were picking number one overall, I would probably trade it away and go down a little bit, and I would pick up Anthony Richardson, or I'll just pick him up number one overall. Because here's the thing: how many quarterbacks in the first round or any round ever pan out to be not necessarily a generational quarterback, but a franchise quarterback? I mean, look at Mac Jones, right? He was one of the better quarterbacks coming out a few years ago with Trevor Lawrence, and he had a good first year, but the second year he went right. He's not going to be a franchise quarterback. At best, he might be a poor man's Matt Ryan, a very poor man's Matt Ryan, like Moncrief, poor man's Matt Ryan. And I think that's most quarterbacks, right? So
Right.
why not swing for the fences? Because if you hit with this guy, you're good. Like you're done. Like you're good. If you miss, you're probably going to miss on the other quarterbacks anyways. So why not swing for the fences on one that's going to be a major boom or a major bust?
I'm just not seeing what you're seeing, to be honest. Like you're saying, his potential is all over the place.
Yeah, he has super low.
And he could fall anywhere in the middle of that too, or whatever. Like,
No, I don't think he's gonna fall either way. I think it's gonna be either he's a floor guy or he's a ceiling guy. I don't think he's gonna be like middling his way. I think he's gonna be worse than Gardner Minshew or better than Cam Newton. I think that's kind of where he's at. Like, and why not? And that's what I'm saying. Like, you only like if you get and we've learned as a Jacksonville Jaguars organization, if you get the quarterback figured out, everything else kind of just falls into place. It just figures itself out, right? Because it's just quarterback driven league. The rules, the play style, it all is driven by the quarterback. So why not swing for the fences for the guy? Because hey, what happens? You have a sucky year. Just get the try again next year. I mean, how many teams do that year after year after year?
I say if you were going longevity, you wanted to build around a quarterback, you wanted somebody that was going to like show they had the potential to like you know, be like a complete pocket passer type guy, whatever. Like and have like that's what teams, a lot of other, before now, but starting to change, in the future or whatever. But because there's these quarterbacks that like get outside the pocket a lot, aren't really longevity type of players. I think Will Levis is that guy that he's big. He's been beat down before by some big guys, and he's got right back up here. When Matt said that he reminded him of Ben Roethlisberger, I agree with that. Hard agree.
Yeah.
If they could just figure out, when he does like run outside the pocket, if he could somehow get Ben Roethlisberger's like escape.
Yeah.
That's that sense or whatever. That I have no idea how Big Ben did it. I watched rewatched some of those videos or whatever. I'm like, this guy looks like
he put grease on him. He had to put grease on him before the game. The only explanation.
He look like a deer with skates on or whatever, and he's still standing. He has the ball. Like, what's going on? And a slow deer with skates on.
Yeah, exactly. It's slow, but did he just break tackle from every player on the defensive line?
Right. Yeah.
What?
If Will Levis can learn that secret, maybe he learns it from Big Ben himself. Whatever. That's what I would do. I would call him whatever. Like, hey man, how do you move all this weight around? But I feel like he has the longevity in the NFL. I feel like he has the potential to stick around for that long. I feel like the guy that you're talking about, like, is the boom is CJ. Like, he is what you're talking about with, like, as far as like, somebody that's flashy or whatever, that's going to be that playmaker. No other quarterback besides Baker Mayfield. And it wasn't really Baker. It was like, just the complete team that Oklahoma was. CJ Stroud gave me a feeling in my heart that, as a Georgia fan, that I've only ever gotten, from that other game, the Rose Bowl, whatever, with Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And it was the clock strikes midnight or whatever, and the kick went up and we won. But this is the thing that made me believe in CJ Stroud wholeheartedly. It always felt like they have not only have a chance, but they're gonna like show the world that we were like faking it. Like it felt like, oh my god, like what is going on right now?
Yeah.
And go down the draft board right now, and how many other players are coming out of Ohio State? Like tight end, wide receiver,
Right.
any of those?
Oh,
Like
wide receiver. Yeah.
super playmaker guys, whatever. Oh yeah, KJB.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And why do we know who KJB is? Because of CJ.
And their offensive tackle, Paris Johnson, he's one of the top.
Okay, but so that's two. Besides
Jackson Smith.
Jackson's, yeah. That's the JSN.
All right.
Yeah, I said JSB. My bad.
And then that's it
Yeah,
in the top 50.
yeah. That's insane, right?
Well, I mean,
Right.
Alabama has
Right. Yeah. Of
Will
course.
Anderson, Bryce Young,
Oh well.
So it's, yeah. I mean, I get it.
I thought you were gonna say like Alabama had more. No, Alabama has more than that. They got Jordan Battle.
No, I'm just saying like the two top consider the top two prospects coming out into the draft are both from Alabama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, and they didn't win it all.
Right. Yeah. They're still on that stock, whatever, which I don't really get.
Gibbs, Brian Branch. I mean, they have
Jordan Battle,
like 5 in the top 20.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're a complete all around team, and they, a lot of the times they are. And those guys are going to produce whatever, but that has a lot to do with the confidence that the coaching staff like puts behind them. And there's a certain coaching style that Nick Saban has that translates well to the NFL as far as like, coaching those college kids up, but not actually when he makes the leap and goes to the NFL himself. That doesn't translate for whatever reason. But so, yeah, Alabama is always going to be that, I think, as long as he's there. But yeah, that's why I believe in CJ, whatever, because it didn't seem like a talented Ohio State team. It didn't seem like one of their better ones, But he gave me a heart attack, and it was him. It was him with the football. And I swear, dude, I don't know. My heartbeat was insane that day. I was like, I might need to, start taking better care of myself.
Well, your quarterback didn't have one of his best games either.
Stetson's hit or miss. Stetson's two-time champion. He's got something, He's short though, so it's that's why his stock isn't as high up, I think. But he might surprise people. I feel like he's gonna be like a Gardner Minshew type in the NFL, just one of those like really good, solid backups.
So I was looking at the pre-draft scouting report.
Mm-hmm.
So they compared him to Geno Smith, which I guess isn't bad now that Geno Smith is 40 and starting to play well. But I think his weakness is they talk about they essentially say he can't throw into tight windows and he's not good at
who?
CJ Stroud.
Okay.
He can't. He's late at seeing targets coming open, and he can't throw into small windows. Which, if you can't throw in small windows in the college football game, those windows get even smaller in the NFL. But that's just looking straight at his weaknesses. He's got plenty of strengths, right? So, I don't know. I'm not as high on CJ Stroud, I'll be honest. Partially because Ohio State has produced zilch, nada, doo-doo at quarterback, historically speaking.
The only reason I brought him up like that is because you said the boom for A-Rod.
Oh,
And I feel like CJ is the boom. Like he,
CJ has more. I think CJ's ceiling is smaller, but his floor is higher than Anthony Richardson.
okay.
Um, I think CJ Stroud is a safer pick. I think
Yes.
the odds of having success with CJ Stroud at quarterback are greater than Anthony Richardson. But if Anthony Richardson hits his ceiling, it's substantially higher than CJ Stroud, and you would regret passing on him. But that's looking into the future, which is literally impossible.
Where's the
Or is it?
ceiling? Where is this like potential that you see, and then where's it
I'd say
coming
better
from?
than Cam Newton. I'd say definitely better than.
No, it's like based off of what? What are you, where is this coming from? Just like a gut feeling or something?
It's partially gut feeling, but also unfortunately I watched. So I watched. They were losing a lot last year, so I
Mm-hmm.
find joy in
Oh
watching
my
them lose.
god, you're mean.
Dude, I hate the Gators. I hate them. I hate them.
I thought I hated the Gators. Only watch them when we play each
Oh no,
other.
dude! I'll watch them because it's like I got. Plus, y- when they lose, I need something to talk about or talk smack to these Gator fans. But they always had but. Nah, bro, you got the big L again. Um, no, so it's just I watched a lot of his games, and
Okay.
I think I think he probably should have stayed another year to grow more. Um, but as a Knowles fan, I didn't want him to stay because I do think there's just so much potential there that if they can get that key to fit and unlock, it's super dangerous.
Right.
And that's just watching him doing the eye test, right? He did a lot of things wrong, but he also did a lot of things right and really good. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a huge
A
tangent.
a lot of things wrong, but a lot of things really good.
Yeah.
When you say really good, can you like do you have an example?
Well,
Or,
when he confidently moves away from the pocket
mm,
and uses his legs with
mm,
confidence. I mean, it's hard to catch him. Guy's got speed and
mm.
power, so he sheds those tackles like Ben Roethlisberger, but he has the speed of that running back up in Baltimore, um,
Lamar,
Lamar. Yeah, I
yeah,
think, and but then he's
Nickelodeon
also
award
got a
stealer.
rock. He's got a rocket of an arm.
Okay,
Like he could throw that thing over the mountains over there, like Uncle Rico.
yeah.
um,
I'm just not. I don't know. Like CJ, I've seen CJ do the same thing. So it's like, and against Georgia, when we played Florida or whatever, I didn't really see that too much.
excuse me.
It, it's not his fault at that point because like defense is just insane, and they're not like um, I don't know, they're not deep in those positions, especially to protect him.
Yeah,
Um, it got to a point where I almost started feeling bad, but then I
for who?
remembered, oh no,
For who?
the Gators.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
feeling bad for the Gators. Not
Well,
at all.
I personally love it when when the SEC, the East or whatever, is at a like sort of a level playing field. I love the rivalries and I love the passion of the games or whatever. Especially when there's like bulletin board material and stuff like that. The level that Georgia has got to now is just otherworldly.
Yeah.
So it's not as fun anymore. It's kind of like, do I even need to watch the Florida game because I know we're gonna win. So it's like it's new to me. It's you know it's a new feeling. So I'm dealing with it in my own ways or whatever. I think I'll be all right though.
Yeah, I guess having lived in the Jacksonville area for the majority of my life and having to grow up around Gator fans literally everywhere, it's just anytime I can just watch them lose, it's just it's almost as good as watching the Knowles win.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to ever like I don't ever want to get like people say, well, you want your opponent to be, like you want to spoil their season, right? You want them to come in undefeated, have high hopes, and then to dash them. No, bro. I want the Gators to come in with 0 wins and 9 losses. I want all of it. I want them to lose to Middleburg High School. I want it all. Just I hate them.
That's so funny.
And I used to work for the Gators, so there's that.
I'm friends with all sorts of SEC fans, and Florida homers are definitely some of the like. They're the most like
They're delusional.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yes,
that's the problem. Like they had a horrible spring scrimmage, and I don't know if you listened to the morning show on 1010XL. Dan Hicken.
Oh yeah.
So Dan Hicken, he's a homer, but he's also a realist with the Gators, like all of his teams. Like he loves some Gators, but he'll be real. Like when he talks on the radio, and this year he's down. He thinks the Gators suck, and he called him out. He said they had a horrible spring practice, they had a horrible spring scrimmage, and the Gators aren't going to do well this year. And then of course the voice of the Jaguars, what's his name?
Frank Frangie.
Frank Frangie comes on, and he's the biggest homer. He came on. I said, "Well, I was there, and the offense looked pretty. It was pretty rough. They didn't look very good against the defense, but it's spring, and they're really not trying to put on a show for the fans. They're just trying to work through their progressions and bro. That's what makes the Gator fans are just so delusional, and they make up excuses for everything." Talk to them today, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we have a good chance of making the Final Four."
Yeah.
Literally, they'll all say that.
Yeah, that's true. That is a fact.
Sorry,
No, you're fine.
This is a triggering subject for me.
It's funny to me. I've been in like SEC smack talk groups, and I met a lot of people in there, man, and it's just like we have a good time. We have a really good time, and it's like especially with delusional Florida fans, whatever, because it's like, dude, like I wasn't a troll before I joined this group, but winding Florida fans up, whatever, one of my favorite things to do, like especially when they lost to us and then they lost to Tennessee. It's like
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it was great. Because they like, say like, oh, we're going to the SEC championship this year or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, is it? Like, no, I'm not joking. Like, what? You're like, okay. Anyway.
Here's the thing about them too. It's like, I'm talking to you. You're a Bulldogs fan, but you clearly root for your conference. Like, yes. You'll root for, like your Gator, your Bulldog fan first, and then you're an SEC fan, right? In that order. Well, sorry. You're a Bulldogs fan, and then you're an SEC fan. Whereas Gator fans, they are just Gators, and everyone else sucks. It's not go SEC. It's go Gators, and Auburn sucks. Vanderbilt sucks. Ole Miss sucks. Like they don't have any pride in their conference.
So I mean, it really depends. Like,
because most fans that I've met.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like saying like SEC when you haven't had any championships in like since before these last two, whatever it was, since 1980, that didn't feel right to do. You know what I mean? So as Georgia fans, we're typically not SEC homers. But like there's no real like dislike of whatever for these other teams and stuff. Like I still watch Ohio State, still watch Alabama, whatever, with a unbiased opinion because they're not playing, the Bulldogs or whatever. So
yeah.
But yeah, Florida fans were just it's like the level of trash talk or whatever I actually aspire to, and the level of delusion I wish I could pretend to be, because it is some of the funniest stuff or whatever, especially for like talking trash to other people in this conference, like the AFC South, whatever. If I could like pretend to be that delusional about the Jaguars, I would do it on a daily, constant basis because
Right.
I know it gets on people's nerves because I've been on the opposite end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think part of the problem is they had their stretch, right? That they were good.
Right.
But when was the last time they had a chip? Like at least the Knowles had one in 2013. At least we've had one in the past decade.
A murderer, a rapist, and
Preacher.
preacher walk into a bar,
Yeah.
and the bartender says, "Go Gators."
Yeah. Like they haven't done anything since then. But they'll talk as if they're about to win the national championship, and it's just not like that. Like I'm a huge Knowles fan, but I root for the ACC. Like I don't want to see the Knowles lose, but if it means that the Clemson Tigers get into the playoffs and represent the ACC, I'll take it.
That's strange. I don't know if I would do that.
Well, and part of it comes from those Gator fans that talk about SEC's better than everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think about them doing that to you. That's
Yeah,
nuts.
they're like, yeah, well, we didn't go, but at least the SEC's in there.
Here I'm thinking I'm representing the SEC, and I'm forgetting that there's Gator fans doing it too. That's not good.
Well, they won't ever say it's Alabama, like go Alabama. It's we don't want to go Alabama. We just want to say SEC, right?
Here's what I think. So there's class, there's Southern class, and that's what these like colleges aspire to, right? And in the SEC or whatever. So like at Georgia, you have that, and you have like it's still like think of it like the old antebellum style of like talking and stuff like that. And like at Ole Miss, you have like the same thing, and it's all these like very family oriented environments, whatever, for the most part. I mean, it can get wild and crazy and stuff, but it's not, they're not well known party colleges and stuff like that. And then you go down to Florida, and the class disappears, and the partying goes up by like 1 million, just because. And I'm thinking is maybe Daytona's right there, whatever, Orlando, Miami, Tampa, all this other stuff, whatever. And they're just like going absolutely insane. Gainesville is a party town. If you want to if you want to go there and murder somebody, like, and play football, you can. Like, it's a possibility.
It's happened.
Yeah. So it's just that type of. It's that type of environment that just brings about that type of people, I guess.
It doesn't help that they're like the flagship school of Florida, right? Like the state of Florida, like they are the flagship school, and everyone down there thinks they don't stink, like they don't poop, they just like it just evaporates out of their body. But anyways, that was a very long tangent, and I could go on all day about how much I think the Gators suck and why. But
I was like, oh my god, this is the Jaguar bike. This is the Jaguar fan battle,
and all the more reason to understand why we hate that pipeline that for some reason we had between Jacksonville and Gainesville.
Dante Fowler
Henderson, Dante Fowler Jr.
Yeah.
Although Fred Taylor,
Juwan Taylor turned out all right.
He did.
Yeah.
And he got his money back, and I'm okay with it.
Right. Taven Bryan.
First round, by the way.
Yeah.
But apparently Taven Bryan was actually, if we were going to get him, the next team after us was going to get him. So a lot of teams had him on their draft board that high. So
strange.
Yeah, I didn't know that until the other day. I was listening to some show, but yeah.
They're trying to make excuses for it.
Yeah.
Well, we better Taven Bryan because
yeah.
Bortles was at UCF. So he's another Florida boy, whatever. Jalen Ramsey, FSU, obviously. So I was okay with the Florida pipeline a little bit, but it just needed to be spread out more. Like if we could have got some more FSU guys or whatever, like Telvin Smith was
he was good.
Yeah, he was good while he was here. So I was like, but I could just tell, and that's where like I was like, who is doing this or whatever, and I found out it was like Caldwell.
Yeah.
It's like this dude's a Florida homer, and I was like, you shouldn't have that job and be a homer.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And he was doing it for dude, how long? Like a decade? Whatever. Like it was nuts. And then all of a sudden, like these past two drafts, we hit and we hit again or whatever. And it's like this is and then all of a sudden, like you see the tide shift or whatever, and it's like, yeah, we got rid of somebody that was like not picking very well for a long time.
Very important part of the franchise's success.
Yeah,
Was an idiot.
Yeah, one of the only reasons that 2017 right even happened or whatever was because we went insane in free agency.
Yeah,
it wasn't like anything to do with like I wouldn't say like it had hardly anything to do with the draft picks, and you do not build an organization around free agency.
No, well, if you're the Rams and if you can walk out on the other end with a Super Bowl, it's worth the fallout that they've had.
Nah, not to me, man. I love watching
it
because so you would trade like one Super Bowl for like just whatever comes from that, whatever.
Yes, 120%. I mean, how many Jaguars fans have died to never see Super Bowl in Jacksonville?
It hasn't been that long.
I mean,
I understand like there's
if you were like 60 whenever they came into.
If you're 60, you probably watched another NFL team at some point in your life. I think you had that experience, whatever. It's yeah, but yeah. No, I would rather be consistently good.
Oh man, because I mean,
because I don't know, you hit that. That's like the highs and then the lows again. I don't like living. We were living in the lows for so long. I don't like living in the lows.
I just want one of these.
Nah.
I just want one of these.
I'd rather be consistently good, and when that comes, it comes or whatever, and then it's going to be glorious.
Oh, it'll come up. It's an Atlanta Braves replica.
Oh, cool.
Of their ring, but no.
The Braves.
Yeah. I'll take the chip, man. I'll take the chip and suffer because I'm already suffering. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give me the ring. I'll do what it takes and suffer. That's interesting. I think you're the first person I've ever heard say that they wouldn't give up like 10 years of. Because I mean, think about it. If you go all in, right? Like you make this, you destroy your salary cap, but you get the Super Bowl, but then you're in salary cap hell for what, 5 years? Then you rebuild.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Or would you rather go 15 years and be like, yeah, we made the FC Championship, we didn't win any, but we've been steady, we've been good. Nah, man. I'd like to say, yeah, in 2023 we got that chip.
So there's a lot of things that just go with like us being consistently okay, at least, or whatever, like making it to the playoffs or whatever, or being the potential and most likely leaders of the division. Especially since we're in the AFC South fan battle or whatever, like just being around all these other people like talking about that and stuff like that, whatever, would be great. I mean, yeah, we could say like we got a ring, but we would be basically Colts fans, and I don't like them.
They still got the ring. I mean,
so what? Yeah,
at the end of the day, man.
And Peyton Manning's forehead's big, so but we don't have to keep talking about it. You know what I mean? He's fine. But at least he's not a mongoloid or whatever. He's a normal human being and stuff. But we don't have to keep bringing that up.
But at least they have the ability to bring it up. We haven't even gone to Super Bowl, much less win one. You know what I'm saying?
Miles Jack.
I'm not trying to prop up the Colts. I would love to die knowing that my Jacksonville Jaguars had won at least one Super Bowl. If that means being in salary cap purgatory for 10 years, then so be it.
You're talking about death like it's about to come. Are you like making a wish right now?
No, man. You know how crazy people are out there.
I live in Jacksonville. Like, you think I don't know how people are crazy?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. The other thing too is like being here. This city acts different when the Jags are winning.
Oh yeah.
And if they're consistently doing that, whatever, it's the
I remember
atmosphere down
I
here
remember
is
in the
awesome.
90s when we went to those two AFC championships. I mean, we had the
Yeah.
Boselli burger. Like McDonald's came out with the Boselli burger that you can go to and order the Boselli burger at the McDonald's drive-thru. Like,
That's
yeah, I
dope.
remember those years. Those were great.
Yeah.
The city is electric, but
Right.
I would still rather have that one championship, that one Super Bowl. Give it to me.
Miles Jack wasn't down.
He was not.
Yeah. So when you talk about like the highs of like almost winning a Super Bowl and stuff like that, whatever, that was ours. And we got out of it, whatever. And then, they spent all that money in free agency, just like you said, or whatever, and then rebuild it later down the line and stuff like that, and didn't work out for them. So it's like,
Well,
it's not a good model. It's not a good business.
well, if you
model.
could guarantee me a Super Bowl,
okay, guaranteed.
if I get a guaranteed Super Bowl, we put all our chips in, we're in salary cap hell for 5 to 10 years, I'm doing it.
I feel like we're guaranteed a Super Bowl either way. We discussed this. You're guaranteed a Super Bowl if you like talk about it like that, whatever. And if we're consistently good, eventually those doors or that dam breaks.
You think so, but I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers, right? He has one Super Bowl ring.
Isn't that what you want? One?
Yeah. But and same with Peyton Manning, right? Like Peyton Manning, he's
right.
I guess he's got the two, but he's got the one with Indy. Phillip Rivers, I mean, that guy was an elite quarterback. How many rings does that guy have? Matt Ryan, he was almost had it. He was this close. Dan Marino. You don't think he would give up one of his 10 years of his career to have a Super Bowl ring?
No.
I think he would. No, I wouldn't say give up 10 years of his career, but 10 losing seasons, and one of those was a Super Bowl and the rest were losing. I think he would do it.
I don't know, man. Dan bought one of the greatest movies of all time to the city, and that was off of his just being a decade of a good quarterback. And that movie is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. And that is a Super Bowl winning movie, in my opinion.
I concur. I like the sequel, When Nature Calls.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
Alrighty then.
I don't know, man. It's just like that type of atmosphere, that type of environment, and whatever. Like Miami Dolphins fans were just it was like a blast to be there during that era. So
yeah, but think about it. It's like it'll get old, right? Mm-hmm. It'll get old. Like
it's old now. It's
great right now. Like it's great, like because we've sucked for so long, but we're like we're kind of winning. We barely broke 500, right? But
yeah,
if you consistently are like, yeah, we made year after year AFC championship or get knocked out in the second round, but you never get that Super Bowl, eventually you're gonna get tired of it and be like, listen, we just want to get that ring. That's what we're here for. We're not here to be the consistent white picket fence guy, right? Like we want to get over the hill and reach the pinnacle of what it means to be a great. You know what I'm saying?
Right. One of my fears is that Shad Khan is going to get tired of spending money.
I don't know if he'll ever get tired of that. He's got so much of it.
It's just like this. I don't know. It seems like an experiment for him, and his son is having a great time down here. So as long as that continues to happen or whatever, I feel like it'd be great. But the city hasn't come to terms with the downtown area of his plans, right? Mm-hmm. And and they started talking about the stadium, whatever, and they were like, the citizens aren't really going to front this, or whatever. That's what I'm hearing so far. So it's like, you want him to do all this up by himself, whatever, out of pocket, just rebuild Jacksonville by himself, and then
that's what you mean by spending money. Okay.
Yeah. You want him to go balls out in free agency too, right on top of that, whatever. Yeah. It's just but eventually that would get insanely old if and that's why I was like, that's one of my fears, or whatever. Shad Khan is just like, nah, I'm gonna cop out or whatever, and then that fear of them potentially moving the organization becomes a closer reality.
Yeah,
But that's why when if the Jaguars are consistently good, everything changes, and
yeah, for sure.
for the better, whatever the city becomes, the city will literally change. Um, and
Yeah.
it'll be more fun to like go to these games, whatever, when you're not like baking in the heat. Like, hopefully we get a dome or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're at an hour 45,
That's
and
insane.
I think we'll go ahead and call it quits. But
My
I think
favorite part
we've
was
had some good, huh?
my favorite part was the Gator Hater Hour. We should do that more often.
Gator Hater Hour. Yeah, we'll do that segment every, especially after their losses. Honestly, I might dedicate one of the, like when they lose to the Bulldogs and the Knowles this year. We'll just dedicate an entire show to that.
I'm down.
And but yeah, thanks everyone that have decided to stay this long, whether it's during the live podcast or the downloaded audio. Really appreciate you hanging by. You can find us at fanbattlesports.com. We'll have our shows there, as well as some upcoming articles that we'll be posting um, in regards to the reactions to the NFL draft. Where can we find you, Cody Cold?
Cody Colt Gaming. That's everywhere, most places. So tomorrow I am going to be at the Daly's place, and I'm going to try to somehow live stream it for the main podcast. Our pick at 24, which is estimated time around 10:30. So 10:30 tomorrow. Keep an eye on that.
Nice. That'll be
Yeah.
fun. You can find me at Matthew G Sports on Twitter. You can also find the the Jags fan battle on Twitter as well. And be sure to follow all of our social media accounts. We were going to be rolling out our new branding here in the near future, so be on the lookout for that. And any sort of giveaways and um, uh, man, I am so tired right now. Giveaways. Anyways, everyone,
So
thanks for joining
giveaways.
us. Go Knowles, go Dogs, suck it Gators, and the AFC South outside of Jacksonville.
Let's go.
And to all a good night.
Good night.